Yes! Yes! Oh, man. Woo! The NFL season is coming to an end. What a great season it's been. I have a very special treat this week. Multiple special treats. I will be live Monday, my very first Black Monday live show. I've talked about the hirings and firings on Tuesdays before. Sometimes I've done a video. I've never done a live Black Monday show, but I will be live Black Monday. I'm going to go over all the coaching vacancies, some possible hires, how I see the teams. We'll also talk about the three positions that are open currently and which ones are the best, which ones are the worst. Of course, any comments, questions that you guys have, that's kind of what I'm going to focus on. I pride myself on that. If you guys have a question, I have an answer. BD Buster, what is up, brother? Man, I am really jacked up. I'm going to give you in the link below. Let me double check. The link below is my picks video. So if you haven't had a chance, check out my picks video. It's fantastic. I am going to go over the picks that I have, and I'm just going to give you the winners and kind of how I see the games going. Because the way I see it, there's 12 games that are going to affect the playoff seedings, who gets in, who doesn't. And I'm going to go over all that information. So BD, man, I'm excited. You should be excited because, well, I don't want to ruin it for you, but I mean, I think it's safe to say I think I can reveal that Detroit made the playoffs. I'm not sure all Lions fans know this yet, but yes, Detroit did make the playoffs. So. I don't know why I'm drinking coffee. Actually, so it's snowing where I'm at, so like I'm enjoying the coffee. So I'm going to go over the playoff games here in a little detail. Then after I give you the winners, I'm going to break down how this affects the playoff positioning. The way that it's going to work is I'm going to give you the winners first, and then I'll break down how this affects the playoffs here. I didn't realize this at the time. But when I first did the video, it was announced that Buffalo is a win and in type of game, or if they win, they're the 2 seed. If they lose, they're out. That's not exactly true. There is some other things that can happen for Buffalo to make the playoffs, even if they don't win the game. I think Chicago has a shot to beat Green Bay. Did you get if you haven't yet on my video, I have all the chapters. You can go to it, but I mean, I'll go over that in a little bit. I'll reveal. Do check it out. It's a good video, but I have Chicago winning. I have Chicago winning. Is an upset. Same thing as last year, where Green Bay, they win, they get in. Detroit beats them, and I think that really catapulted the Lions into 2023. I think the same thing with the Bears. I do think the Bears win. I predicted the Bears win. And I'll go over that because Green Bay's in a situation where they win, they're in. If they lose, some things need to happen, and I'll go over all that. The Saturday games, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. If Pittsburgh loses, it gives Buffalo and some of these other AFC South teams. But Baltimore's resting a lot of starters. Pittsburgh's going to go into this with Mason Rudolph. I'm really excited because coming out of the draft, I absolutely loved Mason Rudolph. He was one of my favorite players coming out of the draft. I love this guy. He was a 4-year starter at Oklahoma State, set like every Oklahoma State passing record. He had size, he had athleticism, he had arm talent. I never understood the problems that the NFL had with Mason Rudolph. He ended up sliding all the way to the 3rd round. I thought he could go late first. I actually had a 1st-round grade on him, believe it or not. I predicted that he would have a better NFL career than Baker Mayfield. As of right now, it doesn't look correct, but I think that there's a chance in 2024, Mason Rudolph may end up being the starting quarterback for the Steelers. I think they should give him a chance, personally. I've never understood why they wouldn't. But that's what we're going to look at. It's Baltimore backups. Baltimore, by the way, just signed Dalvin Cook. I think a genius signing. I was really wanting him to be signed by my Chiefs, but hey, it didn't work out. Baltimore's doing some really good stuff. So, but I predict that they're going to rest their starters. I like Pittsburgh to win. So the other Saturday game is Houston at Indianapolis. I have an upset. I have Houston, and the reason why I have Houston is I like C.J. Stroud more than I like Gardner Minshew, and I love Gardner Minshew. I really do. I think Indianapolis completely messed up. I think that they messed up because Gardner Minshew should have been the starter from day one, and they should try to implement Anthony Richardson into the offense slowly. Instead, they entered training camp with Anthony Richardson has plans to be the starter, and instead of doing that, they really hamstrung their team. I think if Gardner Minshew would have been the starter from day one, they win the AFC South. They don't need this game. I like Stroud more than I like Minshew, but I have a huge man crush on Gardner Minshew. It would be very interesting to see where he goes because I think he's better than, the bottom 8 to 10 quarterbacks in the league easily. If Indianapolis is smart, they would sign him to a lot of money to be the backup because Anthony Richardson's on a rookie contract. You may want to overpay a guy like Gardner Minshew. So, Yes. Friday night, my brother from another mother, Dad, Chad. I am so sorry. I completely forgot about my Black Monday show. It's been a hectic week, brother. BD Buster, I have Buffalo winning, and and by the way, that's how the Dolphins are in trouble. I have Pete from Pete's Takes. If the Chiefs play the Dolphins in the first round, which is a definite possibility, he said that he's going to try to make some time to come on. I haven't advertised that yet. I want to confirm, but if it is Chiefs Dolphins, I may have Pete from Pete's Takes, a really good Dolphins fan, smart dude, really smart dude. I tell you the truth, I'm really impressed with him because he's got the right idea about Tua, because that's an interesting contract situation. Because if you remember the tank for Tua, he was in the same draft with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Burrow got 275. It started off Herbert getting over 250. Burrow got 275. So what's the next step? It's Tua getting 300, and his agent's already put feelers out there saying that, Tua's wanting 50 plus million a year. If the Dolphins sign him for that big contract and they lock him into that money, you're sinking your franchise. Because Tyreek Hill already makes over 30 million a year. You have to figure out what to do with Jalen Waddle, Christian Wilkins. You got some expensive corners there. Jalen Ramsey wasn't cheap. Now, the Rams are picking up part of it, but for next year, Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, guy I have a major man crush on. He's a guy who's going to want some money. So there's some problems if you give Tua that big time contract. So I'll go over that here in a bit. I do like Houston to win this game. And bottom line, if Houston wins this game, there are some situations that could happen for the Colts to get in. But basically the winner of Indianapolis and Houston, is it's kind of a win and end game. Now, keep in mind, if Jacksonville loses to Tennessee, the winner of Houston, Indianapolis wins the AFC South and hosts a game. So I've never heard this. So BD Buster says, I like the 12% rule when it comes to quarterbacks. I've never heard this. I'm assuming it means that your quarterback is 12% of the salary cap, which is slightly under an eighth. And that makes a lot of sense. I've never heard that rule before. I've never heard that. So that's kind of cool, man. That's kind of cool. BD Buster, if you don't follow me on social media, I'm still in Facebook jail. I've been emailing them, but I'm still on Instagram. I'm still on Twitter. Do follow me on social media. So if you have that rule, if that's something I've never heard of that before, so I think it's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I've never heard of that. But basically, that Houston-Indianapolis game, that's going to be winning in and loser stays home. And I like Houston on the road. I know normally I'm an old school guy, so rookie quarterback on the road against a good running game. Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor's going to be healthy. And you remember he sat out the first 4 weeks, had that contract issue. And I love Jonathan Taylor, one of my favorite players in the league. But I have a hard. I'm looking at the defense. Houston's defense has really stepped up, one of the best run defenses over the last half of the season. And I really like the way CJ Stroud's playing. So. And that's my predictions for Saturday, Pittsburgh and Houston. Do check out my picks video. I have the link in the description below. It's a great video. My video quality has really gone up over the last several weeks. It's great video. I'm tooting my own horn, but yeah. All right. Sunday's games, Atlanta at New Orleans. The winner has a chance, but still needs some help. Who do you got winning coach of the year? Okay, so I'm going to give you who I think's going to win first, and I think it's going to be Kevin Stefanski for the Cleveland Browns. I think he's going to win. They locked up the 5 seed with, Driscoll's going to start, so 5 different quarterbacks. The offense was built around Bradley Chubb, their best offensive player. He went down early in the year. I think Stefanski is going to win it. Okay. Me personally, I think I would give it to Sean McVay and the job he's done with the Rams. You started off 3-6. You're playing rookies all over the field. You went all in to win a Super Bowl. You won a Super Bowl, and you dismantled that team. Remember, you gave up a second and a third to get Von Miller for 8 games. It was more than that. If you count the postseason, 10 games. Half the season, you gave up a second and a third. That's a big price. They don't have a lot of depth. Stafford, is as much as I love Matthew Stafford, he's not going to play 17. You knew that. Cooper Kupp didn't play 17. Aaron Donald did, to the best of my knowledge. And there's all sorts of issues with depth. They had injuries, start off 3-6, and they're going to the playoffs. So me, it would be Sean McVay. I know a lot of people think that Dan Campbell should be coach of the year. He deserves consideration. If I did 1, 2, and 3, which is I think the way they do it, I would have McVay, Stefanski, probably Dan Campbell at 3. D'Amico Ryans for Houston. I have them going to the playoffs. That would be a guy I might also put at 3. I'd have to kind of think about it. But D'Amico Ryans, Dan Campbell, these guys deserve some consideration. Kevin O'Connell from Minnesota deserves some consideration as well. Started off 1-4, then Cousins went down. It could have been easy to pack up shop, but they kept things together. If you want to give me Mike McDaniel, I'd listen to the argument. I think he's done an excellent job. Jim Harbaugh deserves some credit as well. Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco also deserves some credit. Some of these guys did some really good jobs. But Kevin Stefanski, I believe, will win it. That would be my prediction. If I was going to put a bet down, I would bet on Stefanski. If I had to vote, I would do Sean McVay. I know a lot of Lions fans think it should be Dan Campbell. If you bet one, the way it's voted in by the writers, it goes 1, 2, and 3. And if Dan Campbell doesn't get a lot of votes, I would be very disappointed, but I wouldn't have him winning it. So I heard a stat say it blew me away. Kansas City is number 5 in penalties. Yeah. Kansas City's been a heavily penalized team since Andy Reid's taken over. This has been the most penalized Chiefs team I've seen. It's been a weird year for Chiefs. For the Chiefs, they've been really highly penalized. The defense is lights out. I haven't seen a defensive unit this good since the Marty days. The year that we lost the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay, that defensive unit was pretty good down the stretch. But it was a different feel. It was a different feel. But yeah, it's been a down year for the Chiefs, to tell you the truth. So, but yeah, Kansas City. It's kind of funny because going into the year, I was one of the Chiefs fans that said, "Listen, we get calls other teams don't," because Tom Brady got calls, Peyton Manning got calls. I'd always said Patrick Mahomes gets calls, and Patrick Mahomes. And I was like, "Come on, Homer, come on, Homer." And this year, I didn't see it, and I didn't see, a lot. It's funny because I follow a lot. I try to follow a lot of people on social media. I try to follow a lot of teams and stuff. There was a lot of people that had negative comments about the Chiefs and the officials. I didn't know they were number 5, but I do know the Chiefs have been heavily penalized this year, a lot more than in the past. So a lot of people feel like Chiefs get favorable calls. At the beginning of the year, before the season started, I would have told you, yeah, the NFL likes Kansas City. Look at our 3 toughest opponents. Philly, this is from going into the season, not now, but Philly, Cincinnati, and Buffalo all had to come to Arrowhead. The schedule was very favorable for Kansas City. Detroit comes to Arrowhead. But yeah, Kansas City's had a rough season, but I'm going to tell you this: nobody wants to play Kansas City in the playoffs. I'm going to go over that in a little more detail here in a bit. Atlanta and New Orleans, the winner has a chance. If Atlanta wins and Tampa Bay wins, Atlanta's out. The way I understand it, the Saints, if they win and Tampa Bay wins, they could still get in. I'll go over that. I do have the Saints winning that game, Atlanta and New Orleans. And Monday, when I do my Black Monday show, I really think Arthur Smith will get the axe. I'm actually kind of expecting that to happen. And it's a shame, but I mean, he's not been able to get it done. And I'll go over that in a little more detail on Monday. Tampa Bay against Carolina. Tampa Bay wins. They are in. They win the AFC South. All they have to do is just beat Carolina. I was dying to pick Carolina just to have some fun because I had the Saints winning a division. I said Saints are going to win division, and I finally gave up. After months and months of saying Saints are going to win the division, Saints are a dangerous team. No, I got Tampa Bay winning. Baker Mayfield's questionable. He's going to lead that team into the playoffs. So Tampa Bay wins, they're in. Another winning in is Jacksonville at Tennessee. Jacksonville wins this game. They win the AFC South. There's a 3-way tie between Jacksonville, Houston, and Indianapolis. Houston and Indianapolis are going to play Saturday. So the winner of that game is instantly going to cheer for Tennessee. Tennessee's a tough team at home. They're a completely different team at home. It could be Derrick Henry's last game as a Tennessee Titan. He's going to be a free agent. I mean, it's going to be very interesting. Derrick Henry, I can see. I mean, I'm going to talk about this quite a bit when I get to the offseason. But Derrick Henry, I think, is going to be a popular free agent. I could see him going to Dallas. I could see him going to Baltimore. I would love to see him come to Kansas City because I'd like to see Kansas City get kind of like a battering ram guy. I think Derrick Henry would be really good for the locker room. I love Derrick Henry. So with everyone sitting their starters, I can't think of a game I would bet on. No, the only game I would really bet on, and I didn't look at the numbers before, but you could have got Buffalo -3, and I would have felt good about that. I think it jumped up. You know what? Let me pull that up here right now. I'll give you a game right now. I'm going to give you a game right now. Let me see here. Yeah, Pittsburgh's 3.5. Houston's now 1.5. I don't know what happened there on that line. Actually, Buffalo's 2.5. Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite. That's a game I would bet on Buffalo and 2.5. That's a game I would bet on Buffalo and 2.5. So Buffalo and 2.5. So oh man. Oh, I love this. The B in the Back Talk Brothers. The great one. The talent. Gooch. You said you're going to come out with a top 10 video. I have not seen it. If I missed it, please send me the link. But I was dying to see it. So One Pride, yo. Yes, One Pride. If you see the ticker, this is going to be really good. So I have my Black Monday show, and I got George Riley. I'm going to butcher that last name. I just call him George O'Reilly. But yeah, I got who I consider the NFL's number one sports bettor. Who I consider the NFL's top sports bettor. I'm butchering the fuck out of that. George is the best NFL handicapper in the world as far as I'm concerned. He bets $1,000 on his games, sometimes several thousand a week. He posts all the stuff on Twitter, win or lose, as far as I'm concerned. Number one. There's only a handful of guys that if I make a bet and they bet the opposite, I go back and I double check and like, what did I miss? Also, he picked Washington +4. I was really surprised. I thought Texas was going to win. So, okay, dude. By the way, I'm still in Facebook jail. I know we're friends on Twitter. I'm also I don't know if we follow each other on Instagram. I know I'm with Keys on Instagram. So hit me up. One Pride says I got a surprise job vacancy you aren't ready for. Lay it on me, man. I'll give you a hint. It's in a warm state. Warm state, huh? Wow, that doesn't really narrow it down. I mean, I can go California, I can go Texas, I can go Florida, I can go. Technically Georgia, New Orleans, Arizona, but not. Let us know. NFC, warm state. I'm going to guess Saints, maybe. Warm state, price, warm women. How to. Oh God. Yeah. Let me know one. Probably. What do you got? All right. Jacksonville at Tennessee. So here's the deal. I have Jacksonville winning. All right. Jacksonville wins. They win the South. Houston still has a chance to get in because they won. So that's kind of where we're at. Minnesota at Detroit. I have Detroit winning. They're going to go with Nick Mullins. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Well, let me ask you this one, Pride. If Tampa Bay makes the playoffs, like I'm predicting, does that have an effect? Or do you predict Carolina wins, knocks Tampa Bay out, and Bowles loses his job? Or do you predict Bowles gets into the playoffs, loses in the first round, and then gets fired? That's a good one. I'll be honest. He won't be, if he gets into a playoffs, he's not going to be fired on Monday. So that's kind of so. Do you predict that Carolina beats Tampa Bay? Because that would be a lot of fun. I talked about this earlier, but Chicago at Green Bay. Green Bay is a win and in. And I have Chicago winning in an upset. That's kind of my upset pick. I like the way Chicago's been playing right now. The defense has really played lights out. I think that there's no pressure on them. I like the way the defense has been playing. I like the way Justin Fields has been playing. Chicago's going to be a very interesting team. But that's an upset. Bulls loses in the first round. He's gone. I can see that. I could see that. I could see that. Another hot take: Saints job becomes open. That is a hot take, and that's interesting because the Saints, what they would do is if they fire Dennis Allen, there's a very good chance Pete Carmichael leaves. I don't know who the defensive coordinator is. Dennis Allen was the defensive coordinator, promoted to head coach. He basically calls the plays, but he does have a defensive coordinator. I don't know who it is off the top of my head. They have, it's something crazy. It's like over 85 million cap space. It's an older team. That's a team you may just have to tear down completely. I personally don't think that's going to happen, but I can see it because the way I got things going, spoiler, I don't think Saints making the playoffs, even though I've been saying. Washington is a lock to be open, and they said they're keeping Eberflus. Okay, so here's what I heard is that they like Eberflus, but that is not a lock. That's going to be, I think Eberflus's situation, he may not even get fired on Black Monday. But then he could be fired down the line. And when I say down the line, the national championship is Monday between Michigan and Washington. By the way, hot take, I got Washington winning that game. I'm flip-flopping. I've been falling in love with Penix. So Michigan's head coach will be in the NFL. Yeah. I think what's going to happen is I think Chicago is behind the scenes trying to see what kind of interest Harbaugh has and how he feels about Justin Fields. Does he want to draft Caleb Williams? Because Harbaugh does have a relationship with Caleb Williams. He recruited him. When I say relationship, I don't know. I'm not saying they're texting buddies or anything like that, but he was heavily recruited. Even though they went with McCarthy, who was also a 5-star player, they did recruit Caleb Williams as well. So he does have a relationship with Caleb Williams. Do you think that Caleb Williams could be the guy, or do you want to go Justin Fields? There's a salary cap situation there. I think the Falcons should fire Smith, but they say safe. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. I personally think that he's going to. I have the Saints winning, and I think that they clean house Monday. We'll see what happens. But I like Chicago in an upset. I really do. I like the Bears in an upset. I like the way they're playing. The defense is playing good. I like the way Justin Fields is playing. Green Bay's really up and down. They got really up and played a great game against my Chiefs. At times they've looked really, really impressive, and times they've looked flat. If I'm correct, great. Brain freeze. 29 minutes into the show, brain freeze. Oh, man. I said Corey. AJ Dillon. I said Corey Dillon. A lot of you may not remember who Corey Dillon is, but AJ Dillon, I think, is out. So I believe that Atlanta, it is really attractive. All you need is a quarterback. You seriously, all you need is a quarterback. Bo Nix is attending the Senior Bowl. That's a big deal. I can't wait to watch Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a guy I think right now NFL teams are looking at as a late first-round pick. He could really help his draft stock come up quite a bit. I think that he also may end up being like early second round in a team like Atlanta. To be honest, I think Atlanta's going to try to trade up. I think they could be into Jaden Daniels sweepstakes. So you got Jaden Daniels. Penix, I think his stock's just skyrocketing up. I mean, he was very, very impressive against Texas. Not a team with great defense, but still. We have a total of 7 head coaching vacancies. Well,
let's see here. I mean, we got 3 already. I think Washington is going to be one. I think Atlanta is going to be one, but I have them losing. Washington, Atlanta. I'm having a brain freeze here. Washington, Atlanta. You said Saints. It's going to be an interesting Monday, man. Shoot me with the hot take. Next playoff possibility, I think it's going to be a really close game. Seattle at Arizona. I got Seattle winning. The way things will work out is Seattle with a win. I'm predicting that the way things are going to work out is Green Bay loses, Seattle wins, Seattle sneaks into the playoffs. So stay tuned for that. Rams, Aaron Glenn gets a head coaching job with the Saints. Actually makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. That's a great. I'm gonna star this one. This is a good one, and I'll tell you why it makes a lot of sense. They got to blow up that team, and Aaron Glenn's gonna be challenged to get some players to come in on the cheap. He's gonna be challenged to keep the defense intact while they bring in a new offensive coordinator. And don't be surprised that offensive coordinator is Mark Brunell, quarterback's coach. But that makes a lot of sense. I love it. That's a good one. I'm keeping that one. You know what? It's funny. I'm keeping it, but my storage is gone. Do me a favor if you don't mind. I'm gonna try my best to remember this one, but he can take Jared with. Well, it'll be. I think that the Saints is kind of a tough situation because you got the Taysom Hill deal, you got the Derek Carr deal. You got to figure out what to do at your quarterback position because I don't think that either one of them really works out, and where they're going to draft, because I predict they're going to beat Atlanta. So they're going to be picking in the mid-teens more than likely in that type of situation. And, you know, I talked about Bo Nix. You may want to roll with a guy like Bo Nix. So I'm going to say Deuce Staley would be interesting. That would be a lot of fun. Deuce Staley will work with Alvin Kamara. They got some good running backs. I think Williams just signed a 1-year deal with the Saints. Is that correct? Anyway, Seattle at Arizona. Seattle winning. They get into the playoffs. Rams, 49ers, battle backups. I'm actually kind of curious what Carson Wentz looks like with the Rams. Remember, Baker Mayfield looked really sharp. I wonder if Wentz looks really sharp as well, because Wentz is the guy that's got all the talent in the world. And things have just fallen. Remember 5 years ago, he was locked to be NFL MVP, went down. Nick Foles took over, won a Super Bowl, and things have not been right for Wentz since then. But you get around a guy like Sean McVay, and by the way, if he looks impressive, he may just want to stick there in LA and say, hey, look, Stafford's not playing forever. We'll see. Dallas at Washington. Dallas has a chance for the number 2 overall seed. I don't see Detroit losing that game at home. I don't see Dallas losing to Washington. Washington is, I think everybody's just, hey, look, we're just going to end this season. I believe Salah should get fired. That's a tough one because you have a defensive-minded coach, and the defense played lights out. I mean, the defense played lights out, but at the same time, the offense could not be any worse. I mean, you didn't change the offense. Zach Wilson, I mean, his performance so up and down. You got 2 really good running backs. You couldn't find a way to make it work. He might be. I don't think he should, but it wouldn't surprise me if he does. The Jets are kind of a weird franchise. So, but your guy Ben Johnson, put him with Aaron Rodgers. That'd be fun. That would be fun. Philly at the Giants. I think Philly wins this game. I think it's going to be a close one. But are you giving a thumbs up about Ben Johnson to the Jets? So the way it worked, Dallas will win. They'll win the NFC East. They'll get the 2 seed. Philly will beat New York in a tough game. Giants are going to play them tough. And Philly will get the 5 seed. And then finally, Buffalo at Miami. Buffalo will win. Now, here's where I'm going to get here's what I have as my playoff picture. Thanks to, by the way, we get 2 3-round comps again if Glenn gets hired. Yeah. Yeah, it would be a big plus. It would be a big plus. Yeah, it would be a big plus. I forgot about that until you reminded me a couple shows ago. It was Eurofunk. I can't remember which one. I'm going to go with the AFC first here. The way I have it, because Houston wins and Buffalo wins. Buffalo clinches the 2 seed. Houston will clinch the 7 seed. The Colts will be out. The Colts will be out. If the Colts win, then the Colts would be in. I think Houston wins. I got them winning. So the way it'll work out is Houston will travel to Buffalo. It'll be a good game. I think it'll be a surprisingly good game. I really believe that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. With Buffalo beating Miami, that means Miami will come to Kansas City. It is snowing right now. It is projected next week in Kansas City to be in the single digits with snow. So Miami will come to Kansas City when the temperature is predicted to be in single digits with snow. Which team has the advantage? I'm just going to throw it out there. And the way I have it, Cleveland's locked into the 5 seed no matter what. To be honest with you, it doesn't really matter what happens, but they're going to play Jacksonville in a very good game. I think it's going to be a fun game. I'll be honest with you. Out of 3 wildcard games in the AFC, I think the closest one is going to be Cleveland and Jacksonville. I'm going to try to get Pete with Pete's Takes to come on next week if the Dolphins do play the Chiefs. But he's a really great guy as far as being unbiased. I don't think we're going to hear a lot of Dolphins propaganda, but snow and single degree heat. Single degree heat. That's an advantage for Kansas City. It really is. And Houston traveling to Buffalo, that's a huge advantage for Buffalo. Let's be honest. Okay. NFC, the way I have it is I have some upsets, of course. If Green Bay wins, I got the playoff predictor up here. Where is it? So if Green Bay wins, they would end up, the way I have it going, they would be the 7 seed. Give me Houston over Buffalo. Oh God, I would love that. I would love that. And you know what would be great is that it would be CJ Stroud against the Ravens with nothing to lose. And I think that would just be a fun game. I would love to see CJ Stroud go to Buffalo because I do think that this kid is on the verge of being a superstar. And if he wins his first playoff game in Buffalo, watch out. And here's another thing. Houston's defense matches up pretty well against Buffalo. I think that defense matches up. Singletary, of course, played in Buffalo for a long time. It's a pretty good matchup, but I wouldn't bank on Buffalo losing that one, to be honest. Miami coming to Kansas City on the verge. I wouldn't say he's a superstar. He's a rookie of the year, but I wouldn't call him a superstar. I don't know if he made the Pro Bowl or not. I didn't pay attention, but I wouldn't call him a superstar, but I think he's on the verge of it. So, but you're kind of proving my point is that you have a young quarterback in CJ Stroud who looks like he's just going to be a stud. And by the way, on my draft special, I kept on saying it over and over again. This is my quarterback number 1. He should have been the first pick in the draft. So, I'll go to the NFC because I have Green Bay getting upset and I have Seattle winning. Seattle will be the 7 seed because I have Dallas beating Washington. Dallas will have the 2 seed. So it will be Seattle traveling to Dallas. If you remember on Thursday night, a couple months ago, they played in I think it was 40-34 shootout. Remember DK Metcalf blew up on that game. It was a fun game. And, I'll be honest with you. I like Pete Carroll over McCarthy. Pete Carroll and Seahawks have nothing to lose. Dallas, a lot of pressure. It'll be very interesting. That's going to be a fun game. The best game of the way I have the playoffs working out, the number one game, this is going to be the game that's going to be on Monday. At least it should be. Now, keep in mind Dallas because it's a major media market. I can see that game being pushed, but this should be the Monday game, and I fully expect it to be. This will be the game everybody wants to see, and that's Rams-Lions. Stafford and Goff going against each other. Stafford returning to Detroit. Must-see TV. Easily the best game of all these games. The number one game, the way I have it set up, would be Rams-Lions, and this is the game that should be on Monday. And this is great. This would be great because you have the major media market in LA, the NFL's darling in Detroit, a team, kind of as far as media markets, Dave versus Goliath. It's just a great storyline. Goff and Stafford. I'm getting goosebumps because I really think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a great game. And then this would be a very underrated game, Philly at Tampa Bay. I'm really looking forward to this one because I think Tampa Bay, unlike last year where Tampa Bay, even though they had Tom Brady, and Dallas just punched them in the mouth early. I think it was 31-14. I could be wrong about that, but oh, wow, I'm shocked. The Lions fans picking the Lions to win. Oh, I'm shocked. I didn't see that one coming. Of course you're picking the Lions. Why wouldn't you pick the Lions? Of all the games, seriously, of all the games here, Detroit and LA is the best one. I'm not saying this because I'm pandering to Lions fans. This is easily the best one. You got some great storylines. Detroit has a chance to really do some big things in the NFC North. The Rams a couple of years ago winning a Super Bowl blew up the team. Kind of a surprise at the beginning of the year. The win total odds were at 6.5. I believe I said over. I honestly don't remember. I believe I said over just because I like Sean McVay and I like Stafford. Also, I'm curious if Stafford gets booed or not. I don't think he should, but I'd be Detroit has X amount. Do they really need it? I will say the birds are toast. Eagles or Seahawks? Eagles or Seahawks? I'm assuming you mean Seattle. But going back to Philly and Tampa Bay, last year's playoffs, Brady wasn't the same guy. The offensive line was beat up. I mean, it was a team that limped into the playoffs at 8-9. I predict this team's going to be 9-8. Oh, Philly. Wow. Okay. But yeah, you're right. Philly, remember they were 10-1 and they fresh off of beating Kansas City after a bye on Monday night. Sirianni taunting Chiefs fans. I remember Keys wasn't happy about it. I didn't have a problem with it personally. I mean, beat them in the Super Bowl, the one that matters. So yeah, I'll take a Super Bowl win over a Monday night regular season game any day of the week. So I love it. So anyway, it's a different game than last year when Dallas went to Tampa Bay. Dallas was just a better team. You have a Philly team that's beat up. The thing about Tampa Bay is that the defense is good. The offense is getting better, and Tampa Bay has been playing some really good football as of late. That Matt Patricia moves looks bad, and all of us Lions are drinking tea because of it. The defensive coordinator thing. I think the Browns could go all the way. BD Buster, why not? Here's the drill. The defense is, of all the teams going into the playoffs, the Browns could have the best defense. Yardage wise, they do. If you want to tell me Baltimore's defense is better, I'll be honest, I'd be on the fence. Some Chiefs fans may tell you the Chiefs defense is better than the Browns defense. I don't think so, but you can make an argument. Myles Garrett is in my opinion the best pure athlete in the NFL. By himself. And here's the thing about the AFC is that Kansas City has some offensive line issues at tackles. Myles Garrett would be a problem there. Cleveland's one of the teams that beat Baltimore. Cleveland against Buffalo. I would probably pick Cleveland. I really would. I'm gonna tell you the way I see the playoffs going. I would have Buffalo winning, right? I would have Kansas City winning, and I would have Cleveland beating Jacksonville. Cleveland and Baltimore, they split the series earlier this season. Why not Cleveland over Baltimore? And Kansas City going on the road to Buffalo, I'm going to level with you. That would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun, and I think the NFL would love that. And I'll be honest with you, it's a coin flip. Kansas City, Buffalo. In Buffalo, it's a coin flip. People want to say like Patrick Mahomes' first playoff game on the road can't get done. Are you sure? Are you sure you really want to go against Mahomes? I mean, a lot of Bills fans talk trash like, oh, I'd rather have Allen than Mahomes. Like, no, you wouldn't. You would trade Josh Allen and 3 number ones for Mahomes, and they would. They really would. But I think the NFL would love to see a Buffalo, Kansas City divisional round game. It would be so much fun. And I think the NFL would love to see Baltimore and Cleveland. And I'll be honest with you, the Ravens, they should be scared because Cleveland, I think, would come in with the better defense. I like the way Flacco's been playing. I like the running game. It's going to be fun. I thought it was really smart picking up Dalvin Cook. Really smart by Baltimore. But I think Cleveland beats Jacksonville the way I have it. They're locked into I'll be honest with you. I don't think it matters if they play Jacksonville, Houston, or Indianapolis. I would pick Cleveland to win that game. I really do. I like the defense. They're able to run the ball, and I like the way Flacco's been playing. Another thing is that Amari Cooper is a guy very, very underrated, playing really, really good ball. Playing some really good ball. They have a really good receiving core. There's some holes on that Browns team. Don't get me wrong. There's some holes on that Browns team, but overall, I really like them. So yeah, I could see that. But yeah, I see Cleveland advancing, and I think Cleveland will play Baltimore. And the way I have it set up is that I think the NFL would love to see Buffalo against Kansas City in the divisional round. I think it's going to happen. I really do. In the NFC, Dallas at home against Seattle. It's going to be a fun game. I don't think it's going to be a gimme. I really don't. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Kind of sad how Philly fell off a cliff hard. It is really sad. I mean, I was looking at a team with a dominant defense. DeAndre Swift, a guy that I fell in love with at Georgia. I always felt was mismanaged in Detroit. I could never figure out why you guys couldn't use him right. And it's funny, you get a guy who I didn't like as much in Jahmyr Gibbs. Coming out of college, I had Swift rated higher than Gibbs. So you get rid of Swift, you bring in Gibbs, and you use Gibbs the way you should have been using Swift. I don't get it, but doesn't matter now. I mean, it's a win for both teams. Philly got a really good running back, but not sure what happened. But yeah, it is. Slasher in shambles. Yeah, I haven't seen Slasher in a while, man. I love that dude. But yeah, I haven't seen Slasher in a while. Yeah, he's not doing well. But Philly, Tampa Bay, it's completely different than Tampa Bay last year. I think Tampa Bay has a legitimate shot. I'll be honest, I probably pick Philly. Baker Mayfield's banged up, not broken, but really bad bruised ribs. If you ever had bruised ribs, it's a tough thing to do. But the way Philly's been playing, I don't know. But I mean, Philly against Tampa is kind of what I see, and I think it's going to be a fun game. It's not a gimme like Dallas last year. I think was like a massive favorite against Tampa Bay. I don't know if Philly is. Baker, I believe he's a free agent, and if you think Bowles is going to be fired, then no. Bro, do you think Cleveland can make a legit run in the playoffs? This is my boy Tim. I love Tim, man. This is for those of you that don't know, Tim's been my friend for a very, very, very long time. By the way, Tim, side note, I heard from your brother. I heard from him. So, do I think Cleveland? Yes, I do. And so here's the drill. I think Cleveland wins that first round of the playoffs, whether it's Jacksonville, Indy, or Houston. I think Cleveland wins that first game. Cleveland is going to play Baltimore, and I'll be honest with you. If I'm the Ravens, that's probably the last team I want to see, because Cleveland beat Baltimore early in the season, and these two teams match up really well against each other, and Cleveland really has nothing to lose. The pressure is all on Lamar Jackson, who I think is going to win MVP. So the answer is yeah, I think they can. I think Cleveland will win that first round, regardless of who it's against. I predict it's going to be Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville is going to win the AFC South. I think they're going to host Cleveland, and I think they're going to lose. Are you going to the first playoff game for Kansas City? No, I'm not. So what the drill is I've had Chiefs season tickets since '89. I say me, it's really my dad and my sister. When COVID hit, what happened was me and my dad, stopped going, and then when they wanted to let the fans come back on, we let my sister and her husband go, and then she's got two kids. The kids, God, this is kind of a sore subject. They're great kids. They just don't like football. It's weird because they're the closest thing. I have a nephew who's like 6'1", 6'2", 230, no interest in football. And he's just a naturally big dude, and no interest in football. And it drives me nuts. My sister said she wasn't going to let him play football, but even if she was like all on board, he would never play, and it drives me nuts. I started high school at 5'1", 98 pounds, and I was like ninth string, but I played high school football. But I rode the bench anyway. No. So my sister and her husband, they have the tickets now. They've me and my dad can, if we really pressed hard, we could kick, my brother-in-law out, and we could all go as a family, because that's what we used to do. Is that like some families go on vacations, but we used to go to Arrowhead. I don't go, but I am going to be live here on YouTube, and I'm going to do play-by-play for the Chiefs, and I think it's going to be Chiefs-Dolphins. So I'll be here on YouTube, BD Buster. Actually, I haven't set up the live stream yet. I apologize. It's been kind of a hectic week for me, but I will be live here on YouTube for Chiefs Chargers. So if you want to tune in Sunday, I haven't set up the live stream yet, but I will be live. I'll be doing play-by-play for Chiefs Chargers, and then I'll be doing play-by-play for, I predict, Chiefs Dolphins. So the NFLPA said Aaron Glenn is the top defensive coordinator. for what? Wow. Can you clarify that a little more? Like, top defensive coordinator in, like, he's the best defensive coordinator, or wow. Or he's the top coordinator for a head coaching job. Oh, he was voted number. I didn't know that. I know it's been a few years, but who was the best player on your? Oh my God. So there's two. Okay, so the year before I graduated, there was two guys. A guy by the name of Chad Sharpie and a guy Kevin something. Kevin played at Arkansas. He was like the best punter, but he was a linebacker, and I heard that he went to Arkansas and played as a tight end. Chad Sharpie was all-state wrestling at heavyweight, all-state linebacker, and all-conference. I'm so old that players played both offense and defense, so he was all-conference left tackle, like second team all-state, and he won state wrestling, and he had a scholarship to go to CMSU, and oh God, it was he got busted drinking beer on school. It was something really messed up, but anyway, he lost his scholarship. Dude, like he did something stupid, but lost his scholarship. But Chad Sharpie was like the coolest dude in the world, greatest guy in the world, built like an effort, like he was 6'3", 240. Like this, like if you had to say, give me a guy who was built to play football, his name is Chad Sharpie. I like, just coolest guy in the world, And he had a scholarship to go to CMSU and blew it. That's the last I heard. And he graduated a year before I did. The guy that graduated the same year I did, it's kind of funny. I ran into my high school football coach. If you've seen Chad in the chat, his wife does the ticket booth for the high school game. She introduced me to the high school coach here in Shawnee Mission, and I was going to coach high school football. This was several years ago. And it turned out to be that the high school that I was going to get a coaching job at, I emailed the coach. He ended up saying, we don't have a position this year. Stay in touch with me. Next year, we can get you on. In Kansas, you don't have to be a teacher to be a high school coach. In Missouri, you do. So I was going to coach high school football. It turns out to be my old high school coach. I ran into him on the sidelines, and we talked. And a guy by the name of Randy Stanley married his daughter, who was in the same grade. I actually didn't know her. I mean, there was like, I know in your high school class, there's like 10 people. In Lee Summit, there was like over 700. So I knew that the coach's daughter was in my class. I never had a class with her, didn't know who she was. But she married a guy by the name of Randy Stanley. Randy probably like the best, maybe the best player. Randy was like a freak of nature, but I don't think he ever wanted to play college or do anything like that. But he told me, like, hey, you remember Randy? I was like, yeah, I remember Randy. And he's like, so on my on the year that I would have graduated, maybe Randy. I can say a guy by the name of Jason Overton, who sells insurance. His face is on billboards in Raytown. At least the last I saw, that was several years ago. One of the guys, he ended up battling injuries. Only played 1 year. Ended up being an All-American in track. He is currently the 12th fastest person in the world over 50. He participates in the track and field. He's on my. He was on my Facebook friends list. Now that we're not I'm kicked off Facebook, but I would show you who he is. But we had a conversation. He said we were talking about high school. He had some great stories, but he was the 12th fastest man in the world over 50. So he wasn't able to play, just got banged up. So
Imagine saying it's actually funny because I remember she dated this one dude who was a year older, and he was a really cool guy. But I heard this story about, now keep in mind, when I went to high school, you could bully people. It's not like today. And I heard a story how he just used to torture this kid named Dan, same name. And so apparently he just tortured this dude relentlessly. And so Dan had this like long, greasy hair. And I heard this from somebody else that he like used to go in class and just bully the shit out. I heard that like he was like the nicest guy in the world. Like he was super nice to me, great guy. But I heard he just tortured this dude. He apparently like told him every single day, like, you got to shower. And apparently he was going to pay him $50 to cut his hair. In early 90s, $50 is a lot of money, but he told him he was going to pay him $50 if he get his hair cut. Like just like tortured this dude relentlessly. And back in the early 90s and 80s, bullying was not. By the way, like, you know, I want to bring back fat shaming. You know, like just a side note here, we need to start fat shaming people. And there's a few other things. You know, I'm gonna stop this rant, but yeah. Yeah, so his name was Eric. I can't remember his last name, but yeah, he was dating her, and then he told me that, yeah, you remember Randy, and he's like, yeah, Randy married my daughter. So yeah, Randy was a good guy. All right, I went on. Sorry about the rant. I have a hard time believing this. I'm not accusing you, by the way. I'm not saying you made it up. Can you send me something? Because I did not see this. Dude, I knew got a scholarship to Nebraska. After a month, he quit. The guy was 6'4", 240-pound DN. He says he's got ass kicked every day in practice. He's married to some crazy hot chick. Yeah, so I used to wrestle in high school, and if I took wrestling really serious, I could have got a scholarship. Now, when I say serious, my natural weight was like 125. I wrestled at 112. It doesn't sound like much, but losing 10% of your body weight when you're 15, 16 years old and you're still growing, it's not really good or healthy. One of the guys who wrestled 103, he went to MU, and he's like, he wasn't good enough to make the MU team. Another guy on my wrestling team, he got a scholarship to MU. Or it was MU or Oklahoma State. I think it was MU. Another guy, actually two guys went to MU, wrestled. And he was like, he said, hey, I can, he was really good. I think his senior year, he went to state. He didn't win or qualify, but he was really good. And he figured they had an intramural team at MU. And he told me, he goes, I was there for like 2 practices. He goes, I got my ass kicked so bad. I thought I was going to be the shit because, I went to state my senior year, and I thought I was going to be – he's like, it is just, yeah, crazy. I knew a guy who played for Blue Springs, and he told me his buddy went down to CMSU, and he said he literally got the shit knocked out of him. When he said got the shit knocked out of him, like literally like he shit his pants. He said he got hit and like he like shit himself. And he's like, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, married some crazy hot chick. You don't use, is he on your Instagram? I'm kind of curious who he is. I'm kind of curious, but yeah. I went to high school with a Western right tackle that got absolutely embarrassed by nuts. It's actually funny. You probably don't know who this is. Oh God, just never mind. I had a brain freeze on it. A former Chiefs player, a buddy of mine, went to high school with a former Chiefs player. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Dave Zott. You probably don't know this. So Dave Zott should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, he had a great career in Kansas City. His son has cerebral palsy, so he asked for a trade to the Jets because New York had the number one medical facilities for his son. So the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs just flat out released him or something. The Chiefs worked something out,
because it was for his son. I actually ran into Dave Zott at I think it was a car show or something. He had his son, and his son was in the wheelchair, and I didn't, okay, I didn't do that, but I said, I said hi to him, and that was basically it. But turned out me and my buddy went to high school with him, and apparently he got kicked off the team for a week or a game, and he said that he watched his team play on the roof of his house, climbed up on the roof with like a case of beer, and was like he was yelling so loud the whole neighborhood here. So got him just ranting like motherfucker today. But yeah, it's kind of neat, man. It's kind of neat. But yeah, Tim, if this dude, if you're friends with him, let me know who he is, if that's okay. I wrestled a regional champ. I could not stand, got really cocky, so I pinned him, made him tap. I remember my freshman year of wrestling. This is my best athletic story. My freshman year of wrestling, this guy just beat the shit out of me, and I was going to go up to him and congratulate him. I mean, dude, he beat me 9-1, I think. He didn't pin me, but he really beat me bad. I was walking behind him, and he was like, and he's talking to his buddy. He goes, "Yeah, last guy I wrestled was a pussy," and I was literally right behind him. The next year, I wrestled him in a tournament, and we almost got in a fist fight. I did a head tap, which was kind of harder than I should have, and we almost got in a fist fight. The referees broke us up. I tried to do a single leg, and I racked myself, and I was down on the ground, and I'd put my knees up to my chest. Coach comes up, he goes, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Oh, I racked myself," and he started laughing. And anyway, I beat that guy and won first place in the tournament, won a medal. I have no idea what happened to it. Damn. One pride being brutal. So, all right. No. All right. NFC predictions here. Seattle and Dallas. I'll be honest with you. I think whether it's Green Bay or Seattle, the Saints is a possibility. I do think Dallas advances, but I'll be honest with you. I think out of all the teams in the playoffs, at least, I'm going to say least like. That's not really true because Green Bay, if they win, they're in. Seattle could get in. The Saints could get in. He was that embarrassed. Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Yeah, I mean, one pride's a bully. We need more bullies in this world, especially today. I got the Allison. Here's the deal: like whether it's Green Bay, Saints, Seattle, I predict Seattle. I think it's gonna be a fun game, but I really think Dallas is my prediction to go to the NFC is my NFC representative to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to go away from that. Tampa Bay and Philly is such a fun game because it's you really don't know. I think Philly will advance, by the way. No, he was an ass to me and I made him pay. I get that, man. I mean, I'm not mad. I mean, I get it. I get it. I remember my freshman year, I wrestled and I basically tackled the dude. My fist was behind his back and it hurt his back, and he was injured all year. And I liked the dude. Like I thought we were kind of friends, but after that, he was a complete dick to me. And it's really weird because he was like probably like the nicest guy in the world, but ever since that, I heard him. He was just such a complete dick to me. Throughout all through high school. Yeah. And he was just a complete dick. Yeah. I didn't mean to, and I felt terrible about it because it knocked him out of the, like, it was a, it was like, what was it? The first match of the season, they pit guys against each other, and I wrestled him, and I basically tackled him. I had my hands like this, and it landed on his back, and he was like kind of banged up the whole year. And I felt terrible. But no, he never forgot it either. He was a complete dick to me. This was my freshman year, and for all 4 years, he was just a complete dick. I'll never forget that. His name's Kevin White. Always was a dick to me. Didn't mean it. Just, Philly, Tampa Bay, I could see go either way. I really could see this go either way. But I have a hard time. I really think Philly will advance. I think Dallas will advance. Rams, Lions. I really don't know. Out of these 6 games, I could kind of rapid fire here. I think Bills, Chiefs, Browns, Cowboys. I like the Eagles. When I look at Rams, Detroit, that's the one that it's like, I don't know. Keys always focuses on quarterback head coach combo. McVay Stafford is better than Goff and Campbell. It really is. All right. And I think McVay's a better coach than Campbell. Stafford's a better quarterback than Goff. All right. That's just facts. Sorry, Lions fans, but these are facts. The rest of the team is Detroit. I mean, I love the way Brian Branch is playing. Laporta going into next year may be the best tight end in football. I'll be honest with you. I mean, Travis Kelce's not the same dude anymore. Laporta might be the best tight end in football for like the next several years. I mean, he's that good. Jahmyr Gibbs is playing great. The offensive line, the offensive line hasn't. You got Aaron Donald on the other side, but the Detroit offensive line, there's an advantage there. I think Detroit will be able to run the ball. The front 7 of Detroit has some talent. But, I mean, I do expect the Rams to be able to put up points. But I don't see that. I don't see the Rams really stopping Detroit. So, I mean, I really don't know. So, Jason Peterson 8, what exactly makes Sean McVay the better coach, Dan? I'm okay. So like, I'm trying to, I want to word this carefully here. Hey, Jason, man, first off, man, I don't recognize you. What's up though? Man, what's up, brother? Man, listen, Jason, man, God, I don't want to be a dick here. The first thing that popped in my mind was Cirrus. All right. So the Super Bowl winning coach, all his assistants have been landing head coaching jobs left and right. Dan Campbell, for everything that he's done, has a losing record. All right. Dan Campbell's done a phenomenal job in Detroit. Let's be very clear. But his career record is below 500. And he has 0 playoff wins. I don't, Jason, man, I'm so glad you're here, man. I just don't, I'm just drawing a blank, man. I'm sorry, but thank you so much, man. And dude, I'm not insulting you when I said seriously, but to me, this is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, you got a guy who's one of the premier coaches against a guy who's has a career record of under 500. He may. By the way, Detroit had a better team when they played Dallas, and I it's kind of a mean thing to say, but they played Dallas. They had a better team, and it was basically coaching errors that cost them the game. All those crazy decisions that Lions fans love, I don't think they're good coaching decisions. So, You just gave your answer. You said Detroit. I'm leaning towards Detroit. I really am, by the way. I really am leaning towards Detroit, One Pride. But when I look at these 6 wild card games that I got, 5 of them I can go bam, 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 and I don't even think. And I look at Rams Detroit, and I get really stuck because I like McVay. I like the McVay Stafford combo. I love the fact Stafford's coming into Detroit. You get playoff experience. I think you have a coaching advantage. But when I look at the overall talent, I mean, Detroit, top to bottom, has the much better team. So, well, I'm glad you don't. You're 100% correct. Ben Johnson's a better offensive coordinator. I don't even know who. Now, keep in mind, Sean McVay is kind of the pseudo offensive coordinator. Sean McVay does all the play calling, but Ben Johnson's amazing. One thing I am a little worried about, and by the way, like, I'm not saying this is it, but I mean, you have to understand something. When and I'm going to talk about this when I do my Black Monday show. I never feel bad for an NFL head coach who's fired. You have a 7-figure salary. You should be set up for life. And when you leave, you can get a 6-figure salary almost everywhere. And you could also get a job on TV. You can go to college. And right now, college head coaches are making more than NFL head coaches. I mean, some of them are anyway. Goff has more playoff experience than Stafford, and I love and miss number 9. Not in Detroit. All of his playoff experience is under the guy who's coaching on the other side, and that's a huge advantage. The guy that knows Goff, coached him for the last several years, is on the other sideline. All that playoff experience is while he was under Sean McVay, and that's a big advantage. So what if it's Lions or Packers? Lions or Packers? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. So the way I got it is, let me try this here. So let's say Green Bay wins. They would be the 7 seed, but let's do this here. Green Bay wins. There's one other scenario. Let's see San Francisco wins. Hold on. Okay. All right, my mistake. Lions, Packers, that would be a good one. I would probably go Lions. So in this, by the way, this scenario, the Rams would be the 7 seed. Rams, Dallas. That would be a lot of fun. I'd probably go Dallas, but that game would be a lot of fun. That would be a rematch where Dallas won earlier, 41-23, if I remember correctly. Stafford got knocked out of that game, but this would be a little different, and I think this would be a lot of fun. Green Bay against Detroit. That would be a lot of fun. I would pick Detroit. I wouldn't really think about it. Actually, McVay was not his coach. Zach Taylor was. He dealt with Goff more than McVay. But you do understand that McVay was the one who wanted to move on from Goff. If anybody knows his strengths and weaknesses, it's McVay, and I think that's a big advantage. I'll be honest though. I'm not saying that I would pick Detroit or the Rams. That game really gives me a lot of pause. I look at that Rams-Lions game, and that's what I have. I have Rams-Lions. And let me see here. And like I said, it's because I got Chicago upsetting when Taylor left, Goff's number slipped. Yeah. This was a big story because the Rams gave up 3 first-round picks to trade up to get that number 1 spot. And then, what was the other game I had? I had Rams winning. Okay. Yeah, Zach Taylor's doing an excellent job in Cincinnati. But there was a reason why McVay was really there was a reason why McVay wanted to move on from Goff. So Lions and Packers instead of Lions. Yeah, In that situation, I would probably go Detroit. And by the way, that would also be a great game to have on Monday night. Packers and Lions in a rematch. Or was it Thanksgiving? You guys lost against the Packers, is that right? Yeah, the Packers. So they beat the Packers, beat the Lions, and then they beat the Chiefs, and then lose to the Giants. Lose to the Giants with Tommy DeVito. Yeah, but yeah, I would take Detroit. I'll be honest with you. Detroit Packers, I'm taking Detroit. I'm probably not thinking about it too much, to be honest with you. But the way I got it, yeah, he was hitting on his wife. He was hitting on his wife? McVay, were you talking about McVay hitting on Goff's wife or Goff hitting on McVay's wife? Can you elaborate on that, BD Buster? Because I am not familiar with that. But if you don't mind, yeah, because I don't know what's going on. I'm glad he wanted to move on. I'm loving 16 too. Here's the thing: the Goff to Detroit, and Stafford to. I mean, basically, let's just call it a trade. It's not exactly, but let's just call it. It really worked out for both teams. The Rams won a Super Bowl. They had a terrible year last year. They're building things up. The Lions win the NFC North. I joked around. Funk hated that joke. I joked around. Lions win the North for the first time since 1892. Funk, he's not in the chat today, but I love Funk. And he bristled about that. But it's a win for Detroit. And Funk's one of these guys who's been like, we should look at Hendon Hooker. And that's another story completely. Like when Ben Johnson moves on, does he want to take Goff? What do you do with Hendon Hooker? But it's a win-win for everybody. The Rams won a Super Bowl. The Lions are in great shape. They got a bunch of young talent. I thought they reached for both Gibbs and Campbell in the first round, but Brian Branch was one of my favorite picks in the draft. So both parties, yeah. It's one of those rare trades. I think the Hawkinson trade is a win for both teams. Damn shame he tore up his ACL because of when he tore it up, he may not even be healthy for next year. It's something I'm going to be paying attention to. But the Hawkinson trade actually benefited both teams too because use that draft pick. I believe I'd have to double check, but I believe that draft compensation helped you guys get Brian Branch. And I stand by this. Brian Branch should have been the pick for the Chargers. When the Chargers picked, they went with Quentin Johnston, who was my number one receiver in the draft, but he was a raw dude who wasn't really ready to contribute for the Chargers, where Brian Branch would have came in and immediately improved that team. And I don't know Quentin Johnston's numbers off the top of my head. So, but yeah. So McVay, by the way, for those of you that don't know, McVay's wife was she was a Rams cheerleader. Okay, so I may have this storyline a little off. She was a Rams cheerleader when she met McVay, and the rule, by the way, all NFL teams have this rule. If you're a cheerleader, you can't date the players or the coaches. So they somehow met, talked or whatever. So she had to retire from being a cheerleader, and then they started dating, and now they're married. But like she's like, if I remember correctly, like she's in her early 30s. I mean, we both listen to a lot of red pill content, but even though she's over 30, still a solid 9, like smoke show. Yeah. I really don't care. Yeah. You did win the division. This is, I'm going to tell you something. Let's say the Rams, beat Detroit in the first round. It's still a really great season for the Detroit Lions. It really is, win or lose. But the way I got the playoffs set up, Detroit, LA, and Detroit and LA, that's the game that really bugs me. The way I got the playoffs set up. So for those of you who don't know, I got some upsets in my picks.
I have Chicago upsetting Green Bay. Green Bay wins, they're in. I think Chicago destroys that. I think Detroit will beat Minnesota, but Dallas will win, so Detroit will get stuck with the 3 seed. The Rams with Carson Wentz are going to play San Francisco. I think San Francisco is going with Sam Darnold. I believe that to be true. They're resting some players. San Francisco doesn't care. This is a huge game for Carson Wentz. I want to see how Carson Wentz does in this offense. Remember, Baker Mayfield, signed with the team, and then one day later he's starting and really resurrected his career, ended up getting a starting job with Tampa Bay. Wentz has been with the Rams for a little bit. This is a big game for Carson Wentz, a guy that has all talent in the world. Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah, she's a smoke show. She's a smoke show. And by the way, just because you reached for a player doesn't mean that they're bad picks. It's just that you could have got the same players later in the draft, but they're players that you needed. So, yeah, Carson Wentz will get to start Sunday for the Rams. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to do play. By the way, Jason, if you're not aware, I'm going to do play-by-play for the Chiefs Chargers game. It's going to be Blaine Gabbert against Easton Stick. But yeah, it's not going to be the Mahomes Herbert game that the NFL schedule makers wanted. But yeah, Carson Wentz is going to get, and that's a big deal because this is a huge opportunity for him because if he plays, do you remember Matt Flynn? Do you remember the Matt Flynn game? Yeah. You remember the Matt Flynn game? He parlayed that into a big free agent contract. And then, of course, Pete Carroll went with Russell Wilson, made one of the gutsiest coaching decisions of all time. Because at the time, Pete Carroll was just newly hired as the head coach. And then the general manager signed Flynn to that big contract. And Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. And I remember saying the same thing when Russell Wilson – he went. So for those of you that don't know, Russell Wilson went to NC State, and what happened is he went to NC State, and they had a quarterback ended up getting drafted in the 3rd round. I remember my buddy really liked him. I can't remember the guy's name, but Russell Wilson was the starter at NC State. They brought in another quarterback who ended up getting drafted back up in the NFL for a long time. So even though Russell Wilson was starter at NC State, they brought in a quarterback who ended up becoming an NFL player. So Russell Wilson transferred to Wisconsin, played lights out. And I remember watching him at Wisconsin. I was like, God, if you were 6'2", you'd be a first-round pick. He looked really good. And that was also kind of a raw deal on his part. Because, he was a starter, successful guy, but they brought in a guy and they thought he was better. And he was a really good college quarterback, but probably wasn't as good as Russ. And that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So, Matt Flynn. But the last game of the season, you get an opportunity, and this is a huge game for Wentz, and it'll be very interesting because Stafford's not playing very very much longer. McVay absolutely loved Baker Mayfield, and it wouldn't surprise me if these two end up reuniting. How long is Stafford going to play for LA? It's an interesting question. So, but Wentz is going to get the start. It's a huge game. I predict the Rams will win. And keep in mind, there is some positioning involved here. If the Rams win, they can be the 6th seed instead of 7th seed. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how much or how hard the Rams are going to play, but Wentz, it's a huge game for Carson Wentz. And I remember that. I'll never forget that Matt Flynn game.
So 3 more seasons, maybe. I mean, it's sad to say, but sometimes your body just can't hold up. I mean, the NFL is a brutal game, man. I mean, it's such a brutal, brutal, brutal game. And I mean, Stafford's as tough as a 99-cent steak, but I mean, you remember he had that streak. It was something crazy. It was like 8 straight seasons not missing a game. And then it just, he's like kind of a lock to miss a few games each year. I know that he was happy in Detroit. His wife wanted to move to LA. He's a Texas kid, went to college at Georgia, stayed, 12, 13 seasons in Detroit. LA, maybe he loves it, maybe he hates it. It wouldn't surprise me if he just hates being in LA. It wouldn't surprise me. He may love it out there. Eric Dickerson, if you remember, he still lives in LA to this day. Absolutely loves it. And he came from a small Texas town. And of course, he played for the Rams too, but still lives in LA. LA's, it's not for everybody, but I've never been. I don't have an interest in going. I love Vegas, but I can see myself living in Vegas. I couldn't see myself living in LA. If I made a lot of money, I wouldn't mind living in San Diego. I've heard great things about San Diego, but I'll be honest with you. I would love to see Stafford play for another 3 years. It may not be in the cards. Remember, before the season started, the Rams approached Stafford about taking a pay cut or restructuring his contract because they got a lot of holes to fill, and Stafford's like, nope. I'm sure Kershaw. I forgot about that possibility. But yeah, the way I got things going, I have Chicago beating Green Bay in an upset. I have Seattle winning, which would give Seattle the 7 seed. I have the Rams with Carson Wentz winning at San Francisco, kind of an upset. The Rams are favored, I believe. No, 49ers are a 4.5-point favorite. Wow, that's a big. Wow. So, so the way, let me try this here. Let's just switch this here. San Francisco wins instead of the Rams. Okay, so let's just say San Francisco beats the Rams, but Chicago upsets Green Bay. Seattle wins. The Rams, I should have known this. The Rams swept Seattle. So the Rams would have the 6th seed and Seattle would have the 7. If Green Bay wins in that same scenario, Green Bay and Detroit. So, the way I got it set up, it's Green Bay. So Detroit's either going to play Green Bay or LA. Let me ask you this, Jason. Which team? Let me ask Lions fans. Let me know right now. If you have your choice, Packers or Rams, who do you want to play? Rams or Packers? Who do you want to play? You're hosting. Who do you want to play? Please let me know. I really, 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 really want to hear this. I didn't go over the rest of my games. Check out my video, my picks video. I'm going to brag about it because it's really, really, really good. Jason, Green Bay. Yeah, I would too. If I'm the Lions, I want to play Green Bay instead. Also, little bonus for you guys. I already said this earlier in the show, but Washington's a 4.5-point dog Monday night for the college football playoffs, and I really, really like Washington. I had no idea how good Michael Penix was. Roma Duze is my biggest draft crush. He is my number 2 receiver. I'm not going to do a big board, but he's definitely my number 2 receiver. could have a better career than Marvin Harrison. But I think right now Marvin Harrison Jr. is my number one prospect. Again, I'm not going to do a big board, but if I did, I would probably go Harrison, Joe Alt, Roma Duze, 1, 2, 3, and that would be over Caleb Williams. I would have all three of those guys over Williams, believe it or not. Go blue. It's going to be a good game. I like Washington. I had no idea how good Penix was. I had no idea how good Penix was. No clue. And another thing, Jason, as what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to grow this channel. I'm hoping to get bigger. I have a special Black Monday show. I'm going to go live on Black Monday. Who I consider the number one NFL bettor in the world coming on Tuesday to talk about his bets. You don't want to miss that show. If you've ever made any bet whatsoever, you're going to have the best handicapper in the world. I call him a handicapper, but I think he made bristle at that. By the way, I'm looking at myself in the camera here. I am not letting my hair grow out. I just didn't have the time to shave it. Also, there's this like cold sore right here that's driving me nuts. I didn't know that until I came on camera. I'm like, what the hell's on? But I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Oh, man, you know the deal. Hoping to see Cooper Rush on Sunday because that means my boys are stomping the Skins. So you know the deal. We pressure Penix and pound. That's how you have to win. I'm going to touch base on this in a second here. I think Dallas wins. I got Dallas having the 2 seed. The way I got it, let me ask you this here. You know the deal. The way I got it set up is I have Chicago upsetting the Packers. Okay? Chicago upsetting the Packers, which I have the way things are going to work, Seattle. So let me ask you this here. You could play the Rams. You could play Seattle. You could play Green Bay in Dallas. Which team do you want to see? Please let me know. So here's the deal about this game. I don't watch as much college football as I'd like to, but when the playoffs came out, I said that the winner of Michigan, Alabama would win the national championship. I thought that was the big game. I thought Texas and Washington was the JV game. Then I watched Michigan and Alabama play, and then I watched Washington and Texas play, and I really believe that Washington has the better team. I really do. But here's how you win is you were able to run the ball halfway decent against Alabama. You'll be able to run a lot better against Washington. But if it comes down to McCarthy against Penix, you're going to lose. Penix is going to make some plays. He's going to throw some yards. So it's an old school game here. You got to run the ball. You got to play good defense. And then you don't want to be a shootout of McCarthy versus Penix. You don't want that. Penix, I keep hearing McCarthy's a first round pick from some people. I'm like, what are you seeing? I mean, I have no idea how people think McCarthy. I think there's going to be a team. I actually think this is a guy that's going to free fall in the draft. I think McCarthy's going to be a guy that I've heard second, third round. I've seen him in some mock drafts in the first round. I think he's going to free fall in this draft. Nothing against the guy. I don't see an NFL quarterback. Penix is wow. That's a guy who people are going to really look at and say this could be a top 10 pick. Penix is playing himself into a top 10 pick. I hope so. I'm really looking forward to the game. Now, keep in mind, I have a Black Monday special, so I'm going to be live for Black Monday, but I have that game on DVR. By the way, if you want to come on and give me updates on that game, do it. I'm cool with that. I want to watch the game because I'm getting. I don't know. Jason, I'm not sure how much you know or don't know, but this will be Draft Central here in in about 5 weeks. This will be draft. And I've been already just going through multiple mock drafts. I've probably gone through a couple dozen mock drafts, but I'm really getting, yeah. If you can, if you can come on the Black Monday show, give me updates on the game. I'm going to watch the whole thing on DVR regardless, but I will be here. I'm trying the Black Monday thing out because it's I kind of want to go over the teams. It was kind of a suggestion, actually give credit to One Pride. Another thing, Monday, this is iffy, but Luke G Field Review, one of my favorite channels. I really want to get him on again here in the very near future, but he does a thing where he puts the stream at the top and he lets guests come on. I'm tempted. I have never done it before, but I'm tempted to do that on my Black Monday show. I know One Pride has kind of requested he wants to maybe say some things. So that's a possibility. I may do that. I'm kind of leaning against it because I kind of have a structure of how I do things. This video, I was going to have some graphics and stuff ready. I wasn't able to do that. The deal says, give me Green Bay all day. And I'll be honest with you. I out of those teams, I don't want to play the Rams. I would think the same thing because you have a young receiving core. Jordan Love in his first game. That's the matchup I would choose. I wouldn't want to play the Rams. And Seattle played you tough, but I don't see DK Metcalf blowing up at you once you shifted Gilmore on them. Things look a lot better. So, but guys, listen, I think I'm going to wrap up here. Before any final thoughts, comments, suggestions, anything before I wrap up. By the way, all my social media links are below. I'm currently still battling Facebook. I think it's a losing battle. They said I was doing a copyright infringement. Keep it safe. Wrap it up. So with Facebook, they said I was doing a copyright infringement, so they took my channel down. They took my Facebook page down. It's not an infringement to post my own channel. So speaking of coach, if Big Mike McCarthy doesn't get to the NFC title game, he's gone right. I think he might be, and that's kind of a dicey situation. No small please do. Please, Jason, please do. So if he doesn't get to the NFC title game, which means that he would win the wild card, lose in the divisional round. Let's just have some fun here. Let's just say Dallas versus Detroit, San Francisco versus Philly. All right, and Detroit beats Dallas. Let's just have some fun. Let's just have some fun. Let's just say Detroit. That's a possibility. I would say 60% he would be back. I will say this. I would go 40, 60, 60. He's fired if he loses in the wild card round, regardless of who he plays. He loses a wild card game. I would say 60, 40, 60. He's fired. If he wins in a wild card round, loses in divisional, I would say 40% he's fired. But Mike McCarthy's always going to be on the hot seat there in Dallas. He's always going to be on the hot seat there in Dallas until he wins the Super Bowl. So, my boy Chad. Yeah, please do, Jason. And I hope I didn't offend when I said seriously. I wasn't trying to insult. Hopefully, you didn't take it that way. Last thing I want to do is insult somebody who's just popped in for the first time in a while. So last thing I wanted to do, but guys, that will be it. All my social media links are listed below. Check out my picks video if you haven't already. It's a great video. And I'll be live Monday. I'll be live Tuesday, and I'll have my picks video also out on Tuesday. If the playoffs work out the way it is with Miami and Kansas City, I have talked to Pete with Pete's Takes, and there's a good chance he can come on Friday. So, that's not wrapped up yet. So, because it's Jerry's World. Yeah. I mean, Dallas is an entertaining team, man. They're an entertaining team. So, guys,
I hope you all come. By the way, I don't have it set up. Sunday, Chiefs Chargers. I'll be live doing play-by-play. Easton Stick versus Blaine Gabbert. It's going to be a good game. I'm kind of excited to see Blaine Gabbert personally, but I'm the only Chiefs fan in the world that's excited about that. So, but anyway, I hope to see you all back Sunday, and then Monday, Black Monday. So, thanks, Chad. You guys have a great weekend, and I hope to see you in about 48 hours.